Welcome to this video. I hope all is well.
Feel pretty good, actually.
In this video, we're going to clean the data that we web scraped from the NamCars website. I'll have a link to that video in the description. So let's import pandas as PD. And this will be the only library we will need. And let's get the data that we scraped from our NamCars website. Read_CSV. And the name of our file was allwinhookcars.csv. Let's take a look at our data frame. So we're gonna clean this. First, we can see that the price and kilometers column is probably an object. It's not integers. Before we change these columns from an object to an integer, we need to remove the KM and the $ in the end. And next, I want to remove the year from this name column and put it on its own column. So let's check the data types. And it should show all objects. So let's remove the letters and symbols from the price column and the KM from the kilometers column. So let's create a function called remove. And we're gonna return X, and we're gonna do indexing. So we're gonna say 2 and leave it blank. And basically what this is doing is we're taking out the first index. So 0, 1, and in between the space will be 2. So let's run this. Let's call our remove function, and we're gonna put this price in it. So let's press Ctrl+C to copy and Ctrl+V to paste, and let's see what that does. And you see it removes the N and the $, but we need to remove this space here. So our index need to be 3. So 0, 1, 2, 3. But we need to go one step ahead to remove this space. So let's put 3 here, run this cell, and then run this cell. And you see we remove the space in the beginning. Let's also remove the comma. And to do this, we're gonna use the replace function. And we're gonna replace the comma with empty quotes. So let's run that cell. And then let's run this cell, shift and enter to run it. And you see we removed our comma. So now let's assign this change to the column. And we call our data frame. And the column name is price. And we're gonna set that equals to our price column, and then we're gonna use the apply function, and then we're gonna write the function we created. So let's run this, and let's call our data frame. And you see the changes has been made. Now let's do the same thing for the kilometers column. So I'm gonna create another function called, and here we're gonna do negative indexing since KM is at the end. But let me create our function first. We wanna return X, and we're gonna do negative indexing. So 0, 1, 2. But remember from our last function, we need to go 1 over because of this space. So 0, 1, 2. So it needs to be 3 so we could also remove this space. So we're gonna put -3. And let's run this. Let's call our remove function, and let's put in this value. And let's run that. And you see our KM was removed. Let's also remove our comma right here. So dot replace. And replace that with nothing. Shift and enter to run this, and shift and enter to run this cell. And you see the comma was removed. So now let's assign this to our table. So let's call our kilometers column. And set that equals to data frame. Call our kilometers column, and we want to apply our function. Now let's call our data frame. Let's press Control Enter. And we have a problem.
You know, I was on a good run, and then boom.
Let me just copy the column name here. And let's run that. And you see our changes have been made to the data frame. Now let's separate the year and put it in its own column. Well, first we have to create a function. Let's call the function year. And we want to start from the 0 index and end at the 4th. So 0, 1, 2, 3. And for this extra space here, it will be 4. So we want to remove from index 0 to 4. So let's return x, and from the index 0 to 4, let's press Shift and Enter. And let me copy this. Let's call out our year function that we created. Quotes, Control V to paste, and let's see what we get. And you see we get 2015. So now let's create our column. And we're gonna create a column called year. And we're gonna set that equals to, let's call our the frame the name column. And we're gonna apply the function that we created. And now let's call our data frame. And you see we created our year column. Now let's remove the year from the name column. And you guess right, we're gonna make a function. Create a function called remove year. And then we're gonna return from the 5th index, so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, from the 5th index all the way to the end of our string. So we're gonna return x, 5, and leave that blank for the rest of our string. Let's press Shift and Enter. And now let's test out our function that we created. Let's copy this, put it in between quotes, press Shift and Enter to run the cell. And you see we removed the year from our name column. So now let's make these changes to our data frame. So we call our name column. And we want to set that equals to name column and apply our remove year function. And let's take a look at our data frame. And you see we removed the year from our name column. So now let's change the data types of the price and the kilometers. Let's look at our types. D types. And it's still an object. So to change the data types, we're gonna use the as type function. And in between that, we're gonna create a dictionary. So we want our price column to be an integer. So we're gonna set it to int 64. And our kilometers column. And we want that to also be an integer. Let's run this. Now let's look at the data types of our data frame. And you see it's been changed to an integer. Let's do one more task.
Always with the scenarios.
Let's reorder the columns in a data frame, then export it to a new CSV. So set data frame equals to data frame, and we need double brackets. And we want the name column first. We want the year. We want the price. Kilometers. And what was our last call? Yeah, we want the transmission at the end. Now let's look at our data frame. And you see we reordered our columns. See the difference? So now let's export it to a CV. So we call our data frame. And then we use our to CSV function from the pandas library. And then we're gonna name it cleancars.csv. And let's run this. And if you look into the folder where you have this file, we will see our clean cars CSV was made. Let's open this. Our index was also put into a column. So let me delete this and I'll show you how to export it without the index. We have to add the index argument and set that to false. And let's run this again. Let's look in our folder where our clean cars was stored. And you see the index column was removed. Thanks for watching.
You should have stuck with your story.
It was a DNA test.
We'll study next time. Ow!